Welcome back to Linda's Pantry. So today I'm making a barbecue sauce, but the main component is a little different than you're used to. We're gonna do it with rhubarb. And if this inspires you to stay with me, wait till the end of the video and I'll give you some links to go to. So come on, let's go do some homemade, home-canned barbecue sauce made with rhubarb. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what you can see there in the camera, but what you wanna do is get to a stock that if it comes off pretty easy, they're ready to go. There we go. And you don't want to do more than a third of the plant variety of rhubarb. So I'm going to be over here on this side now. So it doesn't have that blush at all. So look at those nice big stalks. They're just fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to finish picking what I need for my sauce, and I'm going to show you, before I even take it in the house, I'm going to go ahead. These leaves are poisonous, so I'm going to cut it off right there. And that leaf will go in the compost pile. Clean up the other end as well. These leaves are really high in acid, so they're great compost for your raspberries, blueberries. Any high acid loving plant is going to love these rhubarb. All right, so now that I've got all the rhubarb picked, just bring it in and give it a really good wash. And the nice thing is, I know where this came from. All it got was water and sunshine. This and some compost. Rhubarb is probably one of the easiest things that you can grow. And I just inspect, like this one has a little woody spot there. I'll probably cut that out. Just kind of make my inspection. And there you go. I'm going to get this all cut up into pieces. And we'll get ready to make our sauce. It's gonna be fantastic. So I finished cutting up my rhubarb, and I've got 3 quarts of rhubarb from that picking, which, that's a lot of rhubarb. I've also got an onion here. You want at least a cup of onion with this much rhubarb. And I don't worry about the chop on any of it because I really am going to puree it down. I've got 4 cloves of garlic that I roughly chopped up. So a couple tablespoons of garlic. And if you're not a garlic fan, I guess you could leave that out. But go ahead and take my cutting board and get started on the rest of it. So believe it or not, we're going to add raisins. And I want about 2½ cups of raisins, so that's 1, and about almost 2½ here, a little bit more, there we go. And it gives it an element of sweetness, so you get to cut back on the sugar, even though we're adding sugar to this. Rhubarb is very, very tart, so I've got some brown sugar. And we're going to do a fair amount. Let's go ahead and put my measuring cup there. So we'll say that's 2. We'll say 3½. Need a little bit more. This is such a great sauce to have on hand, and I love having it in the pantry because it goes on so many things very, very well. So we're going to put 1 more cup of sugar in there, and I'll taste it. You know, every crop of rhubarb will be a little bit different, so you want to make sure that you taste your product before you bottle it. And I've got some organic apple cider vinegar. You can really use any vinegar you want. I want about 3/4 of a cup of vinegar down there. That and the sugar are the reason this is shelf stable. So we need some other spices as well. I've got to get some ginger out of the refrigerator. And I fresh ginger. You can use dry if you like, but I really like the fresh. Okay, got my container open. So we're gonna need some allspice. And we're gonna go a heaping teaspoon or a teaspoon and a half. And then that's really strong, so you don't need a lot of that for this. And then ginger. I want some ginger down here. This is a big batch, so I'm probably gonna put about that much, about a tablespoon of fresh ginger, or you could use dried ginger, like I said, if you wanted. We also need a little bit of salt. We've got to have some cinnamon, and I like to add just a little bit of dried mushrooms. And I like to add a little bit of dried mustard. Cinnamon, we'll do 2 teaspoons. Dried mustard. And we're going to do a big, healthy teaspoon of that. Okay. And it looks like, oh, that's not going to cook down, but trust me, there's so much water in the rhubarb that it really does cook down. So we're going to get our salt in here. That salt has to balance. And about a teaspoon of salt should be plenty. And then you can actually change this sauce once you get it to where you want it. You can add other ingredients as well. You can make this spicier, but we're gonna wait and see. I usually change it ever so often, but let's get this on the stove. As you can see, it starts cooking down pretty quickly. And even though there wasn't a lot of liquid added, sugar becomes liquid as soon as you get it hot, and these vegetables break down pretty fast. Now we're going to bring this to a pretty good simmer, and we're going to let it simmer and cook for about a half hour until it's really soft and I can get the immersion blender in here. Now, because this isn't red rhubarb like I usually do, we may add some coloring. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it tastes and what it looks like. Because that's the key ingredient right there, is the taste and what it looks like. All right, guys, I'll bring you back. I don't know, okay, about 40 minutes. We are about 10 minutes in, and I want you to see how fast this softens up. It really becomes soft and tender. But I have decided, because I want this to have a little bit more red hue to it, I'm putting down a can of tomato paste. And that's a little 6-ounce can. So we're going to add that in there. I want this to be a reddish brown, if that makes sense. And I mean, our juice and stuff is almost there, but when we puree the green part of the rhubarb, we may not have it. So, and I'm also going to add, because this has got a really sweet, almost, I don't even know how to describe it. It's got a sweet and tangy note to it. I want some smoky background. So I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of smoked paprika. That will also add a little bit of color. Now we're getting closer. Now it's coming together. And with the red rhubarb, you don't have to change too much. They both taste the same. Neither one is more tart, or some say this green one is more mellow, but I really think they're close to the same. So I'm just going to take a quick little taste of that and see if I'm happy. I may add another can of tomato paste, but see how pretty that is? That's beautiful. Delicious. But I think it's a little too much on the sweet side, so I'm going to add some more vinegar. It's absolutely delicious. And a little bit more of the smoked paprika. So that's the one thing about sauces. Each time you make them, you might change how you do it, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to add another 3/4 cup of the apple cider vinegar because we like a sweet and tangy, even though you've got the tang from the rhubarb. It's really taking on the sweetness. And the raisins are in there and all that. So you're really going to just simmer this until it thickens up. We're going to reduce some of this liquid, and I'm going to be able to puree it. So let's clean off this spoon. One more little taste. And this time I'm going to put a piece of the rhubarb on my spoon so I get all the components. That is going to be fantastic. That is so, so good. All right. Well, we are almost ready to just let this be for another 15 minutes or so. Okay, so this has been on the stove, simmering away. It's reduced down. It's thick. And the last thing I'm going to add, I did add one other can of 6-ounce can of tomato paste. And I really feel like it balanced out the acidity as well as it gave it a great color. And last but not least, I'm going to add, and I like to add this at the end. I don't know why, it just holds its flavor better. A big heaping tablespoon of liquid smoke. And I'm using hickory. You can use whatever you like. And then we're just going to take the immersion blender and get busy with this because it is time to get it in the jars. I'm super excited and get to canning. So, let's see, where can I set that? Get my spoon out of the way there. And I've got an immersion blender here. If you don't have one of these, you could put it in your blender. Just be really careful. This is hot. And you turn your burner off. It's gone plenty of time. And I want to go ahead and start the blending. And as soon as I get this as smooth as I like, I'll take you over and we'll get this jarred up. All right, so I've got my sauce all done. And because I'm canning it up, I'm going to give you a taste test right now. And see what we got. And this is the consistency I have. I added a little bit of water, maybe a cup of water, because it was reduced quite a bit. So it's still got some texture to it, but it'll be a nice sauce that will caramelize on chicken or pork. And the spices from the raisins and allspice and cinnamon, it comes through in a really different way. It makes a great chicken dish. It's great on venison. And even though the sauce kind of looks textured, it's got a nice feel in your mouth. It's a sweet and tangy sauce. So I truly hope this inspires you to utilize your rhubarb that you have in the garden because it's delicious. So my canner has gone for a full, actually went about 20 minutes. And it's been sitting here for at least 5 or 10 minutes. You can see it's still really, really hot. And really all you're wanting to do here is process these jars so they get a good seal on them. And what's going to happen is as soon as they cool down, it's going to cause a vacuum which sucks that lid down. And that jar there, I believe, that this one is not quite as full as the rest of them because I ran out of goods. So, look how beautiful. I always get so excited. I did one little half pint as well. Those are all 3 pints. So I got 4 pints, a half pint that I'm going to give to a friend. hopefully to inspire her to use her rhubarb that she planted last year. Actually, I take that back. I've got 5 full pints of RhubarBBQ. And these are like a pint and a half, or 12 ounces. So it's a great amount for a gift. I save these pretty jars for gifts if I can, or if I sell canned goods like this, I go ahead and put them in those because I get a little, oop, there we go, the pinging. We've already got a jar pinging, and it was the very first one I pulled out. All right, so not a bad little haul for my first rhubarb pick of the year. I'm very happy with how this came out, and I truly hope it inspires you to start canning. This was an easy, foolproof recipe. It really, you can add or take away any of the ingredients, make it your own. That's how I do it. Every single time I make this, I make it a little bit different. But I try to add the raisins and the spices that I added because it really makes a great barbecue sauce. And then you get that background taste of your rhubarb. So out of a little harvest today, we got quite a bit. This is enough of this particular barbecue sauce to last us for the year, and maybe even have a couple gifts in the planning. So if it inspires you, I hope you go down in the About section below this video and check out all the links I've left for you. I've left my Wild Tree website where you can go shop for all natural organic products, no preservatives ever. And I've also got my Facebook page link. You can go over there and check it out on Facebook, join in on that conversation. I've got a Zaycon Foods link as well as my mailing address. And anyway, so I can't wait to see you next time. If you're not a subscriber and you want to see more videos, you got to hit that subscribe button. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. God bless.